live. Preparing the live stream. Not that we're ready. We're just going to screw around for a little bit here. And oh, my God. I need to pull it up on my phone and check it.
The chat?
No, just to I like to just go in here and check. Oh, nice. It already picked up everything we were saying.
Yeah, let me get the Kindle in here. My Kindle open.
All right. Sometimes you go live. Oh, that's nice. I don't have to do that.
Not even in the right book.
Jiminy Christmas, man.
I do not need to be in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets.
Get out of there right now. All right, hey, just so we make sure we have backups on everything, I'm going to hit record there. I'm also going to hit record there. So I'm recording on all fronts.
Okay, I'm gonna hit record on Audacity right now.
Okay. We are recording across the board here.
The board. Audacity is, in fact, recording.
Got that recording. Everything's going well. All we need is good audio there. Woo! All right. Let me go check out. Let me just go see here. All right. It does say that we are live. So let me just click on that. I might go in here and edit it real quick if you're cool with that.
Right ahead.
And if you're not cool with it, just say so. And then, boom. For some reason, when you go from Zoom, the live settings that are in there just doesn't do anything. Like it, I don't know. You have to go in here and manually doctor it up. That's fine. Copy, paste. We're live.
I've got the chapter in front of me.
How's it feel to be live?
I got over here. I got the stream right here. I got you there.
Can we make a push?
I got it recording over here, and then I've got my. But you know what I need? I need my keyboard. So this is all gonna have to move.
I just want to make a push to. Oh my God! Hold on. Pink letter, winds of winter, theories. Bum, bum, bum. Guys, if you're popping in here and you decide, I don't know if ours is set up to where you can go back or not, or you just kind of have to pick up right where we start. So we're kind of waiting just a little bit. We're going to get started here in a second, but making a big push, trying to get some people to subscribe, trying to get over 1,000, seeing what we can do here. Game of Thrones theories. Who wrote the pink letter?
Who did it?
No, we know. George.
Was it Patchface? Was it Patchface?
Was it Patchface? Oh my gosh. Game of Thrones. Bum 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 ba bum bum bum. All right, let's see.
Lady Adrian in here.
Really? Was I a little sassy this morning in the Facebook group? I apologize if I was a little bit too no one's in there to check me. I don't know what's going on. People think they're checking me, Sir Matt. They think they are. I had to remind them of my title, and I didn't even pull out all of the other titles, So, all right. Okay. We got Dunk, Egg series. We've got Boom. Okay. Save all those. Save some tags. Boom. All right, now let's pop back out of here. Go back to the channel. We should be. It should be better. There we go. All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Bum chicka bum. All right, man. So let me get the old doc pulled up. And Ser Ezra will be ready to go. I mean, look at this. This episode is brought to you by, and look at the bannerman.
There's a lot.
Lord Jason of House Ross, Lady Dawn of House Wright, Sir Peter of House Whittingham, what a good name. Lady Liz of House Hendricks. Yeah. Feels good. Feels good. Okay. Hey, now some of those links, I'm gonna put some links in here. Or do you want me to just copy over the important bits to this Reddit post I found? Or do you want the links?
Yeah, that's fine. No. If you just do the bits, that's fine.
Also, though, I think this will be good because you can kind of.
I can, yeah, or the link too. That's fine.
Yeah, let me put them in the small council. Let's go down here to. I'm gonna get rid of these if that's okay. The are these ravens?
I haven't added any.
Right.
I'm you know what I should do? Aria. No.
I'm gonna take this out real quick. Yeah, I mean, I am snowed under, by the way. I just want everyone to know. It is a winter storm here in the Midwest. Absolute winter storm. Dun, dun. All right, there's one link. Here's another one.
Some pre-show right now. This is what Ez and I do in the pre-show. It's like, get this link in here, do this, move this over here, get this here.
Right. You're getting a little behind the scenes, guys.
Don't screen share the doc. It's our secret recipe.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I just panicked. I just panicked.
Secret sauce, out, man.
Secret sauce out. Jeez. All right, let me get down here. All right.
All right. Where'd you post that link at?
It's right above the small council. So we got small council. This is I'm gonna write down, and these are his conclusions.
Oh, I see it right here. I gotcha.
But before we get into this at all, I want to talk about how I found this and how I came to encounter this, because I think it's interesting. So we got part 2, and again, for the sake of the old podcast, we'll do part 1. Yeah, part 1's not that significant. Those are good. Part 2 and part 3 were the best. Okay, so we got those in there. Just some links you can click on, and we can kind of talk about it. Let me get in here in the chat. Is Lady Adrian? Is somebody in here mouthing off to me? What's going on?
Mm-hmm.
Are people already sassy? I said that, didn't I?
That's a big talk here.
Yeah, Ser Ezra is sassy when he needs to be. Only when I need to be. All right. There we go. Now I get a couple A couple more folks in here. All right, folks, thoughts. Here's what we're going to do. Some predictions out the gate. And Lady Adrian, if you're still here, you can start us off. Who wrote the pink letter? I want to know now. I want to know right now. What?
Are you gonna edit that back in? Or are we gonna? I mean, are we gonna start and say like hello and welcome to? And
oh no, we're gonna start. No, we're gonna start. This is pre-roll. This is pre-roll. This is the component where like this doesn't go on the podcast. You just get to hang out with Sir Matt and Ser Ezra a little bit and
hanging out live.
Shoot the horse dung with us.
Yeah, what do they say in Bethany?
I'm pretty sure they say shit. I'm pretty sure
that's probably. What they say. I think they do.
So, all right. Whoo! All right, here we go. Turn my phone on silent. We had notifications going off.
Your phone's always going off during the episodes.
You know why? It's because people are always just like, oh, you know what? Ser Ezra's, you know what? He thinks he's so watchful.
People won't leave you alone.
He's so watchful. Oh, Sir Matt. Oh, he thinks he's, I'm just kidding. I'm really being super sassy. Sorry. Mouth off. Did I say mouth off? Who is Lady Adrian putting words in my mouth right now? What is going on? All right, friends. Again, we're talking about the pink letter. Who wrote it? Leave a comment in there if you want to. Get your thoughts in. There is breaking news. We actually do know who wrote the pink letter, so we're going to go over that here in just a little bit. When we start the show, you'll kind of hear us roll into it, and we'll get going. It's kind of a big deal. Big interview. George was. I don't know if this was like. This just happened though. I think it was. What was it? Midweek last week. I think, Matt.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we'll fill you guys in on what. And what George had to say about the pink letter. So,
the one true king, Stannis Baratheon, right? Well, he is the one true king. Yeah, I don't think it was Stannis who wrote it.
Raj, get your thoughts in. Who wrote the pink letter? I need to know right now. Don't even think about it. Just tell me. Was it Hot Pie? Was it Hot Pie?
Who wrote the pink letter?
Yeah. Was it Melisandre?
I think it was Patchface.
Did Ghost write it? Did Ghost get his little paws up there? What are you talking? Is Ser Ezra okay? Is he all right today? Like, what's going on with him? Christmas. Everybody just giving me a lot of crap here recently. You know what? She's going with Raj. Leaving us all in suspense now. Come on. Mance. Raj, why do you say things? Why do you say things that I'm going to have to just utterly dismantle?
Wow.
I'm just kidding. Oh, God, I'm kidding. She knows. She could have said whoever, and I would have been like, she knows I'm just kidding. I'm just Rajing her.
Mm-hmm.
Get it? It's cold, guys, here in the Midwest. It's freezing. The winds of winter are blowing.
It snowed in Portland the other day.
Did it really?
Never snows here.
Wow.
Everybody was losing their mind. We had to work early.
Mm-hmm.
For like a quarter of an inch. So you guys better get out of here.
Get out of here. Get out of here, guys. Snowed under. All right. One more thing here, Sir Matt. One more thing. And then we can kind of get going. At the top, when I go to edit the podcast for the main feed, I kind of want to read this.
Okay.
No, we're good. We'll just do it inside the show. We'll do it all inside the show. Make it better. Because we'll bring up that article with George and his big reveal in the pink letter. All right, man. I'm ready, dude.
Okay. I'll switch back over to the dock.
And we're just gonna roll. Hey, look, we're gonna roll into it. This is a little bit, we're going to out the gate talk about the breaking news on the pink letter. Then we shall discuss that breaking news at large. Then we can do some show news if you want, and then we can roll into the chapter. Is that cool?
Mm-hmm. Yep, let's do it. All right. Hello and welcome to Ben the EA Song of Ice and Fire podcast. I am Sir Matt, the Bud Knight.
And I am Ser Ezra, the Watchful. Welcome to our Song of Ice and Fire book club. Today we are into Bran 6 of A Clash of Kings. And today we will also be discussing who wrote the pink letter. Yeah.
Sir Ezra, who wrote it?
Well, I'm going to tell you, there are actually some breaking news on who wrote it. And we don't have to guess anymore. Okay. We've all been just, oh, it's Mance. Oh, it's Melisandre. It's Ramsay. It's Patchface, Hot Pie, Lady Stoneheart. Been going on and on. We don't have to guess anymore. So there's a couple of days ago, some breaking news. George came out, and I forget who he was interviewed by, right? He was interviewed by somebody, though. And Matt had this. I think he has the direct quote here for me in just a second. But he was basically point blank was asked. And I think, he's writing Winds of Winter, revising it, what have you. He was asked point blank, who wrote the pink letter? And I think you get that quote for us there.
Yeah, he was asked who wrote the pink letter, and he said, no one.
Quote, no one, end quote. Exactly what he said. Okay. So just, wanted to throw that out there for you guys. Something to think about. He kind of it's a bit. Is that a clue? Is that some sort of clue? Did we just make all of that up? Did he actually say that?
Who knows?
Who knows?
I don't know.
Who knows? You're gonna have to go to his blog. No, we were kind of sitting around and we were thinking like, what if somebody had the chance to ask George about the pink letter and he just in over like whether it was a con or something, over 3 different interviews in maybe 3 days or one day, he said, no one, I wrote it. And then he threw out like a random, just a random person. I think it'd be great. I wish he would do that, kind of just throw us off, just super throw us off here, George. Because all those so-spake Martins are crazy.
He did write it.
Technically, he did write it. I mean, the answer is that George wrote the pink letter himself. He actually wrote it. So, but anyway, yeah. So no, I guess we want to get into this a little bit. We actually did a follow. We did kind of a follow-up to some YouTube comments. So just so folks on the podcast understand where we're going, we are live on YouTube right now. We're kind of making a push to get to 1,000 subscribers, right?
We're really close.
Yeah, we're close. We're really close. And so any help there would be great. Just subscribing, liking a video over there. And we're probably going to do a follow-up to this main podcast with more of a smaller condensed version of our thoughts on the pink letter, because I do have a thought on who wrote it. And I think I may know exactly who actually put pen to paper. And I think other people know too. It's been out there from what I found. I'll kind of tell you guys my progression in all of this and what I recently discovered. So to recap, Sir Matt, we had a video where we were talking about the pink letter. We had a great comment in that video. And we did a follow-up with Sir Jimmy, right? And as we're reading that comment, we get to the point where someone's talking about a 9-part series. I'm just going to jump into this. Is that okay? Just
go. Yes, go. No, go right ahead.
All right. And you just monitor the chat. Tell me if anybody wants to comment or something's going on here. But we kind of did this this follow-up, and we learned that someone, I think it was Admiral Kurd. Does that sound right? Admiral Kurd.
I believe so. Yeah. K-I-R-D.
YouTuber. Yeah, name was dropped for us. So shout out to that individual. I did actually go watch one of his videos today where he breaks down kind of just like Winds of Winter and how it can't really fit into it. Possibly is going to be 2 volumes, which is interesting because I actually kind of wonder if somebody wasn't recommended to our channel from that video, just because we've been talking about that and I had no idea who that individual was. So, but supposedly this person is a Redditor as well and has Reddit thoughts and maybe a 9-part series on the idea that Sir Alistair Thorne wrote the pink letter. And so Sir Matt drops that on me, and I start thinking a lot of that made sense. We started thinking about the idea that the pink letter, you came up with the phrase, it's an inside job. You said to me, it's an inside job. And I was like, it just kept dawning on me, because we're always thinking, is it Ramsay? You know, is it Mance? Was it Stannis? Did Melisandre have something to do with it? All these different things. But was it just an inside job? Did somebody else orchestrate it or commission it? And so it kind of got me thinking, and I was like, well, let's look at that. I was going over Sir Alistair Thorne, thinking through that live. You can actually see that video where I'm like totally, Sir Jimmy's like watching me like go through the progression of like, yeah, this would work, that would work. The one thing I could not fit together was Reek. And you can hear me say that in the video. I'm like, I don't know, you know, how
he would know about Reek.
Yeah, how would he know about Reek? And that part of the letter was confusing to me and making the connection between Alistair Thorne. So hadn't done, you know, I was like, all right. And then folks wanted to know where that 9-part, theory is laid out. I tried to find it. I could not find it. And so I just said, you know what? I'm going to go do some research. I'm going to go do some digging. And I went off this idea. We were making all sorts of jokes off the podcast. Sir Matt and I were talking about everyone who could possibly have written it. You know, did somebody in King's Landing write? I mean, we were just going down like this long list of, and just joking. Did Jon Snow write it himself? You know, we were just having a good time. And I said, well, let's look at who actually handed him the letter. And I went, and it was this morning. I was just looking around. I was doing some digging, and I said, let me look at Clytus, this fella Clytus. Let me go see if he, you know, like who is he? What I'm gonna know more about him. See if there's any ties to him and the pink letter. So I go to a search of Ice and Fire, and I look up when I type in pink letter, I type in Clytus, I type in various search terms, and I come up to the point where the first kind of Bolton letter shows up about a marriage and Arya Stark and marrying his sister. Jon kind of says, I don't have a sister, right? Just brothers. And so Clytus was there, and he talks about the pink wax and Bolton's seal. And so there's Clytus. And as I was reading that, there's a description of Clytus's eyes. And it said that Clytus's eyes were dim pink eyes. And I was like, stop everything. Hold the phone here. You like one word can sort of lead you down this rabbit hole. And I'm like, all right, this is wild. This is wild. That's cool. So I went and looked up. I found it one more place. I really couldn't find anything else, but I found it twice in a dance. And I was like, okay, twice he's described, like the color pink is described with Clytus. And then Clytus is the one who brings the infamous pink letter with the pink smeared kind of wax later on. And and works closely with Maester Aemon, all of this stuff. So full credit here. I don't want to go any further without giving complete full credit. I start a search. I'm not huge on Reddit. Sir Matt is definitely more of that Reddit guy who gets on there, looks up theories and will kind of tell me something. And then a lot of times we'll read a theory. It'll take us down another rabbit hole or several rabbit holes, and we'll kind of add on to it. So I like a lot of what I was thinking, and some of the pieces that I was missing, like Alistair Thorne. How is he connected to Roose Bolton? How would he know about Reek? How would Clytus be connected? All of that. I hadn't quite gotten there. Again, this was this morning when I was kind of thinking through this, and I go and I find a 4-part Reddit theory, which we will put a link to down in the description. Fantastic. And to me now, Sir Matt, it is just canon in my head. I think I know exactly who's behind all of this.
Who's behind it? Yeah.
Yeah. And so this was Gideon Wainwright. So posted by Gideon Wainwright. And this was like 4 years ago. And again, it is sort of a Bolton conspiracy part 1, Bolton conspiracy part 2, 3, and 4. So inside of that theory, he kind of makes this connection to the pink letter and does almost an examination of Roose Bolton and some of the figures and people around him, and especially during the time of when he's at Winterfell and how he got to that point, which is really, really, really cool. So the pieces that were filled in for me, and this is where I'm going to totally go to some of his theory and just kind of talk you guys through the missing gaps and what was I'm just thinking, okay, Clytus is involved. I knew that the Stewarts were up to no good. There's a little bit of like, when Sam is kind of promoted over, like Sam becomes kind of the favorite to Maester Aemon, works with him closely. So did Clytus, and Clytus kind of feels maybe, you could infer slighted a little bit maybe. And the other stewards, like, John is all of a sudden elevated above them. You do even see it's very easy to see that there is something going on brewing. I mean, Sir Alistair Thorne has been a thorn in Jon Snow's side, right? For so long. He's been such I don't know, he's not a fan. I don't think he likes the decisions that Jon is making. I think he thinks he should have been Lord Commander. He also thinks he's being sent off to his death. So that's all the stuff that was rolling around in our minds as we started into our research. And then I just found something that again, this theory, you can't find anything better. I've been looking for it. And if you can, leave a comment down below, leave a link, because we would love to check it out. But the first part of this is just that Roose Bolton is a mastermind. So let's talk for a second, Sir Matt, just about like how cunning Roose Bolton is, right? And how
I mean, he basically goes, I mean, you look at just what he does to Theon. I mean, that's really smart, and how he manipulates Theon into getting Kaelin, and everything he does with him, with basically torturing him, convincing him he's somebody else. Now I will say that book Roose, in my kind of headcanon, I consider to be slightly less intelligent than show Roose, but I think the show version of him does a really good job of kind of like, he is a really good manipulator. Excuse me, Roose Bolton. I was thinking Ramsay. Excuse me. Yes, Roose Bolton.
Yeah.
Roose Bolton. Yes, Roose Bolton is a master manipulator in the books. A master, and way better. It's actually the opposite, right? Where Ramsay, I think, is a little more intelligent in the book. Ramsay, show Roose is a little less intelligent than book Roose. Roose Bolton is a total manipulator. Remember, the only thing that I can say about him where you find odd is that he doesn't recognize Arya as his cupbearer. Remember, in the show it's Tywin Lannister, but in the books it's Roose Bolton that Arya serves as the cupbearer for in Harrenhal, which is actually the chapter we will be discussing not this week but next week, is when he arrives. But he's really the one kind of behind the Red Wedding. I mean, if he's a big part of that. And I mean, he's positioning himself. You look at all of the comments he makes, right, through when he's with Robb and stuff like that, leading up to it, and positioning and jockeying himself for power.
And the thing is, I mean, he just so often, like, we have a lot of our masterminds, our Game of Thrones players, who they kind of tell you what, like, they give you hints. George allows them to give us hints or some internal thoughts or even a conversation with someone else, and you start to know what their plans are, their motives, their intentions. Roose is scarier because we don't really know. All of a sudden, he's the surprise at the Red Wedding and stuff, and alliances that he's making and scheming and stuff, and then you wonder what all communication is going on between him and his bastard son. Like early on in those books, and it from the get-go, we're told to keep an eye on him, to not trust him. I mean, there's this weird kind of lore around them being, taking the skins of their enemies, and just his eyes are described. I mean, there's the whole, I mean, what is it called? The bolt-on theory, right? That whole theory is very interesting. And we've covered it multiple times here. Numerous creators have covered it, and it's very interesting. So let me make one connection between Clytus, who is not a maester, he's a steward, but he served under Maester Aemon. And this one quote was what I found when I was reading this morning, and it just stopped me in my tracks. And it's also in this Reddit theory, and it's awesome. So Clytus returned to stir the wine. He's 60 if he's a day, an old man. He only seemed young compared with Aemon. Short and round, he had the dim pink eyes of some nocturnal creature. A few white hairs clung to his scalp. So the words like nocturnal creature, bolt-on, Roose,
We did a big
vampires,
video. We've done 2
pink,
videos on the bolt on theory. Yep.
right? Blood, drinking, pink, all hunting wolves, skinning wolves, the whole thing. The more I kept reading about Clytus throughout the entire, I'm like, if you want to talk about somebody who maybe actually, even if he got a raven from Roose and might have actually put pen to paper, Clytus might have actually been the one to legitimately put pen to paper and seal it with a pink wax, an old pink wax, a smeared pink wax that he had prior. The very nice, clean, and pristine pink wax that came in the first letter with the long, spiky kind of handwriting from Ramsay Bolton. Snow, whatever you want to call him. We call him a lot of different names here. But so to me, like looking at Roose, so this theory starts off kind of examining him as being this master kind of player of the Game of Thrones, and also issuing letters, using his son to issue letters, and then correspondence that like subtly you can't exactly tie it back to him, right? If you're a master at this game, there's a fall guy. There's somebody, even if it's his son, his bastard son, he now has a new wife who's pregnant, who he's hoping, he's going to have more sons with. And so, he's also, if you buy into the whole bolt-on theory, maybe he doesn't need sons, or maybe he's going to use their skins. I don't know. So just that alone, this being a big bad guy, is interesting. And then the second part to this, and I'm just giving you guys a quick summary. Again, I don't want to do it any injustice. It's an amazing theory. So then the second part is Clytus, and it is Maesters, and it is Lady Dustin talking to Theon and saying that it's the gray rats that run everything. It's the Maesters who are in charge, and that Roose sees and knows all of this. Roose has 3 Maesters with him at Winterfell. He knows how to manipulate people through words. And he also, you go clear back to Harrenhal and Qyburn, and the relationship that he had with Qyburn, right, is interesting, and the leeching, and just he seems to know quite a bit. It seems like he really doesn't need maybe a Maester to like he might maybe for their healing abilities or for the leeching or someone just to be an aid or a help, but like he himself is smart and clever enough that he doesn't need it. He might dictate to them to pin something, and then again, it's as some of the lords and ladies might believe, it's the Maesters who are kind of up to no good and putting their own words in these letters, and maybe that's something Bolton or that Roose is thinking about. But and we know also, and I think it's a preview chapter where Stannis kind of says he captures a Maester, and that Maester had just sent a map of Stannis's camp back to Roose. So he does use Maesters to spy. They're not just giving him, he's not sending his own men out there. He's sending these men who are supposed to be kind of like working for the betterment of the realm, but yet like this person was sent in. They're spying, and they're I don't know, they're placing their allegiance, loyalty, or whatever to Roose. And so that was kind of interesting. So could Roose also be doing that with Clytus? Was sort of the question. Is it like, is he somehow now gotten close to is there already a pre-existing issue at Castle Black? Is there already a problem that the stewards don't like, that they're upset? Alistair Thorne, you kind of take that cast of characters and you say, is there something going on there that I can use to get rid of Jon Snow? Now, and then you go back and you say, well, why would Roose Bolton want to get rid of Jon Snow? And there's tons of reasons. And this guy goes through and does a great job of laying them all out. I think Sir Matt could probably think off the top of his head a few reasons why you wouldn't want to have Jon Snow sitting up there, maybe indirectly challenging a claim, even if Jon doesn't want to challenge it. Just his existence alone, and that his proximity to Winterfell challenges his claim to the Bolton claim.
And what's to say that anybody hasn't overheard Stannis offering Jon that claim, and whether they heard Jon say, well, I accept it or I don't. There, rumors spread and all the stuff that, maybe Jon's going to go do it, and so we need him out, and here's some reasonings why, and it provides more. Now, I'll leave it there. I'll wait for you to explain more, and then I'll pose some questions to you to kind of to pose some challenges, so that way we can go through and say, well, here's where this works and here's where this works.
Yeah, exactly. I got you. So, okay. So if Roose is looking for that advantage to kind of, deal with maybe a possible threat or to cause some issue, or maybe want Stannis to fall back, acquire his wife and child or whoever else we don't, there's reasons why he would want to maybe have his own people in charge, or to have Jon deposed and what have you. So how do you make the connection? Like, is he just sending correspondence to Clytus? Is that what's actually going on? So Alistair Thorne this is where I couldn't really connect the dots, and this theory does a great job of it. There is a hooded figure in Winterfell that people don't know who he is, and this Redditor proposes. So again, Gideon Wainwright is his handle. Proposes that the hooded figure is actually is actually Sir Alistair Thorne, and that he shows up there based on his hand gesture, his placement on his dagger, on the hilt of it, on his insults to Theon, mocking Theon. Because that was the thing I said, how would Sir Alistair Thorne, going back to my original thing before I had read any of this theory, I said, how would Thorne know about Reek and Theon and all of that? And if you say, like, if George wrote in a hooded figure to make that connection, to have someone, because Reek is the interesting X factor that shows up in that letter, in the pink letter. I think that's the one that really kind of like, well, like when you look at that, okay, someone had to know Reek and had to know the significance of that individual and know that person escaped, So then you look at the hooded figure and you say, okay, that person's nearby. They're in Winterfell at the same time when the escape is happening, encounters Theon. Yeah. And so that could be someone giving, if Alistair is the one giving communication back to Clytus or Roose or whatever, if Roose is commissioning this through Alistair Thorne, the hooded figure, that would be interesting. And the reason Thorne, the question is, why would Thorne be in Winterfell? Why would Alistair Thorne be in Winterfell? He was sent on a ranging north, right? He says several times, he says directly to Jon, to the Lord Commander, this is a death sentence. You're sending me to my death. You're not hanging me. You're not taking my head like you did Jaina Slint, but you are essentially sending me to my death. And so instead, he goes off and I would say kind of fakes that he's complacent. Maybe does go, maybe is smuggled back across the wall or goes south or whatever. He's been there. He knows his way around. And then he decides, instead of going north, I'm going south. And I'm going to take what's going on here, what's festering up here, and I'm going to take it down to Roose Bolton, and I'm going to have words. And I'm going to talk about because he knows, too, that there's almost an alliance between Jon and Stannis. He knows that this fight is happening. You're not supposed to take part. The Night's Watch takes no part, right? But still, I mean, I think he's... so we don't know what that whole conversation is like, but there's that's how I think maybe he would have gotten there.
Right.
And then you go back to it's two stewards who are saying for the watch. The stewards already had some issues with Jon there, and I think all of that is interesting. So really, with this Redditor, final thought here on this post, this Bolton conspiracy, is that Roose actually just commissions it. He commissions it to be written. He didn't go as far as to say that Clytus actually wrote it. And I was just thinking about the pink wax and it being smeared and you maybe reusing that wax button from before if you still had it. I can't remember if they threw it in the fire. I don't remember exactly. I think Jon crumbles it in his hand. I think he the first letter where Arya is to be, air quote, Arya, fake Arya is supposed to be married to Ramsay. I don't remember what happens, but I think that wax is still laying around. And I think it's recycled possibly by Clytus. There's no mention of the characteristics of the handwriting. Like, it doesn't look like George tells us what the handwriting looks like of Ramsay and then doesn't tell us that it's the same handwriting again later on. Sets it up. And literally, by the way, here's another big clue. There's a phrase in Dance where Clytus says only, and he uses the word, only the Boltons use pink wax, only them. Well, unless Clytus reuses it. You know,
Mhm.
like that whole kind of like only it could only be them. Well, when you say that, then you're kind of saying, okay, like pay attention to that, right? Clearly, they're not the only. You're dealing in an absolute there. Someone else is using it or reusing it or has gotten a
Right.
vial
If you
or
want to make it look like it's the Boltons, then you use pink wax. Yeah. So
yeah.
so some of the things, initially we did a video on this last week with Sir Jimmy, where we were responding to fan comments about who wrote the pink letter, a video we did before, because we're doing this live, and so we have some more people jumping in. So we had somebody send us a comment on that video, and they were saying, Alistair Thorne. So that's when we started talking about it a little bit last week. And so now we're saying, well, maybe it's Alistair Thorne and Clytus right here. The combination of the two, because, some of the interesting things are you're going to need, when you look at the pink letter, how would Roose Bolton, who is supposedly the author, or excuse me, Ramsay Bolton.
Oh yeah, Ramsay
is the supposed author of the thing. How would he? A lot of this information, it feels like he wouldn't know, right? Mm-hmm. So you're, in order to know this, it seems kind of odd, because it's like, well, then you start going on the list. Well, who would actually know all of this information, right? I want my Reek back. Well, but then when Jon gets the letter, Jon's like, I don't know who Reek is, right? So it's an odd letter, because it doesn't all add up. He doesn't know a lot of this information, because it's like Jon doesn't know some of this information. Some of the stuff that's written in it, Ramsay should not know. People say, well, Stannis should not know. So I think maybe it is kind of a combination of things being passed back and forth, and somebody like an Alistair Thorne who says, when Jon sends him up, I will be back one way or the other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I will be back.
Yeah.
And Alistair Thorne is his story is so interesting, because in the show, right, he's there, he's part of it, and Jon gets resurrected, kills him. Well, in the books, he's gone. Jon sends him away. He's not there for it. And if we can sometimes I think you can use the show to project forward and say, I think some of the things we see between season 5 and the end, season 6 and season 8, I think that some of those, it is safe to say that some of those events will happen pretty similarly. Some may be totally different. I think Hodor is one that we look at and we say we're pretty much on board that Hodor 100% happening. Alistair Thorne becomes a little more interesting because of his potential history as a Targaryen loyalist. I think we like the idea that he could maybe be a good guy, maybe not, who knows.
Right.
But I think it's probably pretty likely that his story will end the same, and that Jon will end up executing him.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing, is that right now in the book, what would be the reason? In the book, there is no reason that Jon would want to execute him as one of the conspirators, right? So when you take that little nugget and you think, why did the show do that? Why did they do that? Well, because George might have revealed to them that he was a part of a conspiracy to do something that would kind of agitate or push Jon over the edge. One of the really cool, the title of that letter is Bastard, right? I mean, it's Bastard. And every single time, Sir Alistair knows that when Jon does something rash, or he's like, you can push his button by calling him a bastard. Jon thinks about it during a fight that he has with Robb. He has a flashback where he's like, I'm the Lord of Winterfell. And Robb says, you can never, just because he beat Robb and it was some kind of King of the Hill situation, right? The kids are playing. And Robb says, you can't be, you're a bastard, right? And that hurts Jon to think about that. Well, it's just a game. I just won it. And then as a little kid, Robb says something like that to him. So you have Jon thinking about that. And then you see the effects, like Alistair picks up on it very easily, calls him Lord Snow, and then switches to bastard because he knows it irritates him.
And why would Ramsay, who is also a bastard, call Jon a bastard as something to anger him? That's kind of odd.
Right.
I've always thought that that's kind of odd, because it's not that we see it often, but Tyrion doesn't call other dwarfs. I mean, he doesn't call other fools,
like imps and stuff. No.
Right. Yeah.
Right, right. Well, and one of the other the final line there too is that he not only does he start with like the bastard term, then it goes to trueborn Lord of Winterfell. Something that's really gonna throw John off. Like I'm a trueborn whatever, and you're like, wait a second, what? But are you? Why would you really just be assertive? I don't know. It seems so. The whole Ramsay thing, it's I don't know. It's a for me. I'm starting to drift more and more away from like Ramsay, and it's just like maybe a Roose situation, because when you go look at, let's say, Mance, here's the thing with Mance. People often forget that he has that ruby, that he has the like Melisandre's kind of Melisandre says that he is bound to her what is it? Soul, body, soul, something like that. There's a binding like he will do as Melisandre bids. So unless Melisandre is directing him to, to write that or something, that just doesn't seem like something Mance would want to do. He wouldn't want John kind of saves his life. I mean, John's doing good things for the wildlings. Why would he want that to happen? There is some kind of, we've talked about this several times, Tormund, wildling leadership, vow, possibly secret communication, secrets embedded in the letter. That was a good one. I liked that theory that was out there as to like, maybe there's some hidden stuff in there that the wildlings are picking up on from the whole, Bael the Bard situation. But it just seems to go counter to who Mance is. And then Melisandre, even more so. And then Stannis, that doesn't seem to be in his character. He's almost what do you call it? Like a lawful good. Like he's not someone who's going to really, like, almost to his detriment. He's not going to, resort to some tactic like that. So Stannis is kind of ruled out. And then you go back to who's been doing this all along, Roose. Now, Roose is not putting pen to paper. He's going to use his son, or when he does, even in the letter, he's going to make sure that the blame goes somewhere else, or he is really, really, really sure that he's going to come out on top and then make his move. You know what I mean? He's just that master kind of schemer. So, if the opportunity presents itself and Sir Alistair Thorne comes knocking on your door and saying, hey, we have an issue up there at Castle Black, and maybe correspondence was already going on and they knew about it. I mean, these are all guys who the conspirators at Castle Black are, a lot of them anyways, are there prior to John showing up. And they are more so ingrained in this way of like the wildlings being here. It's not good. They don't think it's a good thing. They don't like the decisions that are being made. And so, I mean, they could have been hiding communication from him. Who knows? I mean, I don't really know. That's kind of tinfoil me just throwing that out there. But yeah, I just think there's way more to the idea that it's a group of people and that they were working towards this. And I'll tell you right now, I cannot the number of times where Clytus goes up and he's afraid, his skin is described as pink as well. Other people's are too, but like too many times the word pink is used around Clytus. And I'm like, whether he was given directions by Alistair or Roose, it feels like there's a combination of people working on the letter, and that you had to have someone who knew what was going on in the north and down in Winterfell, like at the Wall and at Winterfell. You seem to have to know both pieces to write that letter. That's why when we look at it, it's such a really good letter, because we as the reader look at it and go, wow, okay, we know all of that and it sort of makes sense. But then when you start to look at it from the perspective of one character, you say, well, how do they know all of that? And that's what a point of view read, story will do to you. It'll drive you insane. Like, how did they get that information? And then you throw in secret figures and magic and all sorts of stuff. And the next thing you know, we're thinking Hot Pie wrote it. I mean, it's just like crazy.
That's where you go. Yeah, it's an endless circle of, well, hold on, because you keep going back and forth and trying to piece it all together. Yeah. And I'm with you. Some of the characters, I think, when you really start to put pen to paper, I suppose, and really start to look at it. Stannis, it's unlikely. I think it's really unlikely that Stannis wrote it. I mean, if the letter's true, that's the other thing. If the letter's true, then Stannis would already be dead, right? So, well, that's you can toss Stannis out. I mean, that when you think about why would it seems unlikely to me that Ramsay would write a letter claiming that Stannis is already dead before he's fought him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and the other thing is too, like Roose can kind of say this is on his, like, because I've always said John is almost justified in the fact that this was an attack on the Watch. This is an attack on the Night's Watch, and that they should have maybe rallied behind him more so. Yeah. Here's something else interesting. It's all kind of, I'm thinking through this. Like, to attack your own Lord Commander and to not just have it happens pretty abruptly. And it's like, this is the guy you're outnumbered up there. Like the wildlings there's tons of wildlings.
Right.
There's like some of the Queen's men are up there. It's killing John causes a lot of instability. So somebody was taking already rooted kind of issues that were there among the stewards and the divide that was there that was festering, and someone stirred it up. It's like this. It's like you can almost see the hornet's nest sitting there, and Roose saying, I'm not going to poke it, but I am going to tell somebody else to go poke it. I'm going to send this guy back up there, and it will be an advantage to me. I mean, I was thinking like, what are more of the advantage? Well, some of the demands in the pink letter are like, return this person, give this person back. They're all things that John can't do and John won't do. And so it's literally to just provoke him to do something that's going to get him in trouble. And yeah, and it's interesting that like you have a previous correspondence where invitations are sent or it's being made known that Ramsay's marrying Arya Stark, and there's not much like that provoking and that stirring that's going on, that poking of the hornet's nest is not necessarily happening as much as it is now. And so that's where, again, if you look at like when the letter is written, there's some good resources out there on how the preview chapters and Winds of Winter can help you figure out that when it was written, the timing maybe of it. But then I think you have to go and kind of know who maybe is, orchestrating it or
right.
Commissioning it. So, but yeah, Roose also could get then, if there's instability up there, if he has a chance to capture and take Stannis's wife and his child and his Red Witch, if that actually happened or like something, I mean, that would be, could the Watch even do that though? Like the guys who are conspiring against John, could they even, they're not supposed to take part, right? So they're not going to give that person up, but it's just to cause maybe, I don't know, just to take that person out. If you can put Alistair Thorne in charge, if you're Roose, that's a better guy for you, possibly. Just like the Lannisters were trying to put forward Slint. They put Slint, they sent him up there, and we're hoping that he would be kind of an informant or an influence for them, a loyalist up at the Wall, and then he's beheaded, for his behavior. But yeah, I just think it's all really, really interesting. And I when you think about pen to paper, I just keep thinking of Clyde as being somebody who might have actually penned it, who might have actually penned it out under directions, written directions, or verbal directions, whatever it might be. I think that would be
in collusion with other members of the Night's Watch,
and
particularly Alistair Thorne.
Yeah. And that hooded figure is the one that was kind of like, okay, I'd never really. A lot of people speculated different folks for that individual, and
some people think it's just Theon's imagination.
Right. Some people think it's just the ghost. You're right. They think it's just actually, yeah. So I don't know, food for thought, I guess. Folks can kind of chew on that and let us know what you think. And again, like I said, I always like to, because I mean, Sir Matt, we've done this time and time again, where we start to research something. Back in this whole thing started when we were researching R+L=J, and we thought we weren't reading the Reddits, and we were like, oh, we're onto something here. Yeah, so is everyone else, and it's great. It's fantastic. What I like to find is somebody who can lay it out really well and articulate it really well. And we were looking for that 9-part theory. I didn't see it. So if anybody has that, I would love to also push that forward and have folks go check that out. But at least I found like a 4-part, 5-parter for you guys to go read. And I'll put the links down there in the description. But fantastic stuff. I'm sold on it. I'm more solidified now more than ever in my thoughts on who wrote it or who had it commissioned or who's behind the whole thing. And actually, I think in the episode, we kept kind of saying, like, I don't know, like it's nothing. Like with George, like he makes you almost want to buy into some. We were talking about R+L=J with Sir Jimmy, and like at the end of it, we just kind of come down to like it probably is what it is, right? It most likely our first kind of like it's probably this. There's so many other situations where like we're so surprised and shocked that something that seems straightforward or that like we should be able to kind of connect the dots a little easier, it's more difficult because all the other events that George will throw at us where characters have different identities or people come back from the dead or powers that things that you can do. He keeps us guessing in that way. He surrounds something that's more straightforward by some craziness to really throw us off. And I love it. That's why he's a master writer. I love it.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. All right. Well, hey, guys, let us know. Leave us a comment. Let us know what do you guys think about the potential of Alistair Thorne being the one who wrote the pink letter. All right, so we are live here on YouTube. So real quick, let's just dive. I'm going to dive back in here to some of the comments. Some people saying the One True King, Stannis Baratheon wrote it. Lady Adrian, shout out to Lady Raj. Some other people just real quick in here. Lady Shannon. Let me read this. I can't read that small text. Muhammad, he says, hi sir, hi sir Matt, hi sir Ezra. So just giving a quick shout out to some of you guys in here on the chat. But with that, as let's move on over to the reread. Today we are into Bran 6 of A Clash of Kings, where Bran is once again dreaming through the eyes of Summer, who is alerted by a faint clink, and he and his brother can smell something wrong in the air. The dire wolf desperately tries to escape from the Godswood, but the gate is locked, so tries to climb up to a tree to reach the wall, following Bran's thoughts. Summer falls from the tree, and Bran awakes with a sore shoulder to find a strange man in his room, followed by Theon Greyjoy. Theon calls himself a prince and tells him that the castle is now his, that his Iron Man swam the moat and unlocked the gate. His father's former ward informs him that he must make the people of Winterfell aware that Theon is in command and that no one will be hurt if they concede. Bran watches as all those whom Jojen saw in his dream die, and all the Chronic Man's words have come true. The sea has come to Winterfell, and Mikken drowns in his own blood as he refuses to bend the knee. Most in the castle defy Theon, but Reek and Osha join his service. Bran is disappointed about the latter, but manages to convince the rest that fighting is not the answer.
Yeah. This is it's a short chapter, and it's kind of why we thought we'd pair it up with some of the pink letter stuff, follow-up discussion there. But actually this morning my research started on all that, what's going on at Winterfell in a dance because of Bran's dream, his wolf dream, through summer, and trying to climb up that sentinel tree and escape and get out, and then entryways into Winterfell or into the Godswood or what have you. I was kind of thinking about that and dwelling on that and thinking like, okay, what are some of the things that the potential for that in Winds of Winter, or just in general moving forward. But yeah, I mean, it's well, and it also leads me back to the question where, I mean, I don't know, man. The Greyjoys,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Or I'm sorry, not the Greyjoys. I'm sorry, the Greyjoy, the Greyjoys I don't trust. You guys know that for sure. The Reeds, okay, that are blowing in the winds of winter.
Did they let it happen?
Did they let this happen? Well, they warned Bran. Yeah, well, should they not have told an adult? Should they not have? Well, like, what is going on here? It took me back to sort of like, well, this is, this does happen. This is true. This is a green dream kind of come, that Jojen does see things. There are things that Bran thinks about it throughout the chapter. Like, this is coming true. Exactly the way not exactly, but enough so that you start to say, okay, I'm going to buy into Jojen. And this is kind of the big buy-in, right? You're attacked. It could have been prevented. Maester Lewin is kind of saying, hey, I wish I could have done more. Sorry that I was, I should have saw this as well. And you're just left with a handful of folks trying to Ale-belly, right? Ale-belly's up there trying to, they sneak up on him. So yeah, it's, I don't know. To me, it's just sort of a chapter that sets up kind of this Bran's arc and trusting in Jojen and believing in these powers, and maybe sometimes believing too much in them. And we're not really exactly sure. It's funny, some of the chapters I was just reading with Melisandre, John talks about sorcery being a sword without a hilt, and that you yourself essentially could be cut and that you could be hurt using such a sword. And so I thought about that with this chapter, and I just kind of thought like, okay, well, yeah, I mean, the more we trust in Jojen, like, just because he's right one time, what if he's wrong 2 other times? But are we going to believe him every single time? Or do we just, now moving forward, watch Bran kind of buy in, but Bran still will question a little bit as we go with him a bit here. But yeah, it's just Theon's big moment though, where he gets in
It
and
is.
he takes Winterfell.
Do you think? On we talked actually. We talk a lot of when it comes to the Greyjoys. I think people know that we're always like, it just seems like they have no ability to actually. When we think of Balon Greyjoy, it's like, how are you going to rebel, man?
What a joke!
What a joke! Really, just what a joke. At least now his rebellion. At least now his rebellion makes some sort of makes some sense because there's already some other dissent and some stuff going on. But it's Theon's the one who actually accomplishes the biggest thing. He takes Winterfell. It's not like he takes some tiny little keep, right, that no one's ever heard of on the coast. He takes a big castle. And yes, Mira comes and says that this is not Mira, excuse me, Asha, or Asha, Yara in the show comes and says, this, you shouldn't have done this. We don't have the men to occupy it. But if you don't have the men to occupy it, then what is your goal? What is your objective?
Yeah, I know. I think, and that's the problem, is that right now Theon doesn't see clearly what his father's objective was. We get later on, like, okay, if you can keep everyone if you can use Moat Cailin, and if you can keep them all south, you can raid and plunder all you want, go back and forth and not stay. Kind of a, hit it, grab, get out, and all of that, and keep them guessing. But that's just where they're not on the same page. They're not on the same page and going forward and saying, let's try to occupy. And maybe Theon's wrong, right? Maybe he is wrong in wanting to just go occupy Winterfell and having all the northern lords and people kind of, rise up against him or whatever. But they don't trust Theon. And then you get frustrated, because I almost go to defending Theon when he was back at Pike, because I'm like, okay, this guy, it's not his fault that his father lost that rebellion and had a stupid rebellion that Robert went and had to put down, the Greyjoy rebellion. Okay. And so, Theon's getting punished and getting, talked down to. Hold on a second, Dad, you're the one who lost, not me. I'm back here now, side by side, making a good alliance, trying to help us out. And here you go again on another stupid, foolish venture. It's crazy. And then you don't tell me the whole plan. Your commanders are not well informed.
He has no plan. His plan is he's just one of those guys that, we're just going to take it.
Or pay the iron price. We're going to
pay the seriously. It is. That's what it comes off as. We're just going to pay the iron price because that's what we
bunch do. Of pirates. They're pirates.
We're a bunch of And it's like, for what? So you can sit on a stupid rock out in the middle of nowhere and just continue to raid and plunder. The fact of the matter is that if they could all at some point be like, it's time to just go end this, and they could just go immediately, easily take out Pike, and
I know
there'd be nothing they could do about it.
Yeah, I know. Get the red wine,
Daenerys,
please. You get a couple.
Daenerys and Pike in 5 minutes. Seriously. She could end it in 5 minutes. It would be right. It would be over. But yeah, and so I think some of the times when we look at that, we just think, how does this happen? But it's good, and it is, as you're right. This chapter is sort of a big kind of turning point for Theon, because it sets him up on this stage. And isn't it interesting that also Reek is here, right? When Theon comes and makes his thing, and then the Reek is here, right? Because there's another Reek, and if you're not a show watcher, you're like, wait, hold on a second. Theon becomes Reek in the show, but in the book there's actually another guy named Reek, and then Theon will also become Reek. You'll see as we progress through the chapters. Because I know a lot of our listeners are just people who watch the show and they're reading this the first time, and so you may be confused by that. But
and actually you can see, while we're on because we mentioned Reek in the Pink Letter earlier in this episode, but in this chapter, you do see Ramsay kind of clever. Very clever. We find out later how clever he is, right here, but just his word choice, kind of allying with somebody temporarily while they're in power and all that kind of stuff is he's smart. He's a smart guy. He sees the opportunity. He knows how to take advantage of it. And, you know, so a point to him. And again, some of that stuff, when you realize how cunning ruse Bolton is, some of that's going to rub off on his bastard son. You know what I mean? When you're around a guy and you're a part of maybe his councils, or you hear him talk, or you realize what he's up to, it's kind of a big, it's a big plus for his son to have that type of mentor or person that he's trying to, look up to in some way. Although, people might disagree with that. And there's a bunch of issues between Ramsay and Roose. But no, it's interesting that he is there, that Reek is there, and, joins up, helps out. Micken is the guy in this, though. I'm just like, I think we were joking beforehand. we're always totally like, Sir Matt and I exaggerate a lot about these chapters. And I think I said to Sir Matt, I'm like, what was Bran doing? Oh, Bran can be king, huh? At the end of the series, right? He can't even hold Winterfell. Okay.
Yeah. Well, so a couple of interesting notes about this chapter, just looking at some of the other comments people have had on it. And like, one of the Reddits I really like is ASOIAF Song of Ice and Fire reread. It's a Reddit form that just is every day doing another chapter. So they've read it like 4 or 5 times. So here's a really good comment here saying that this is the first time it seems like Bran is actually controlling Summer, whereas before his dreams were just, to him, felt like dreams, like he didn't understand what was going on. But this is the first time he's controlling his actions, especially with him like climbing, right? Like Summer is kind of climbing, which is something
right,
Bran
not natural to do.
Yeah. Right. And so this is the first time it feels like Bran is beginning to even warg, and it's unfortunate that and maybe there is kind of some thematic I don't know, writing there with what George is doing, and that Bran is in the chapter where he loses Winterfell, is becoming more one with Summer and that wolf side, and perhaps his destiny and all of this stuff. And so he has to leave Winterfell in order to, and because it does set at the stage for him to leave Winterfell. So that's definitely kind of interesting.
Yeah, it is. I mean, that whole there's a lot of it's not something a dire wolf would try to do, is climb a tree, but because at Bran's urging and this desperation or whatever, it's something that is attempted by Summer. So I like that. I like I do like that. And yeah, again, just more control, starting to kind of believe. I think Bran was scared a little bit of these dreams, scared of going to sleep. Is now starting to prefer that wolf dream, and is realizing that that the Reeds, that Jojen has possibly a bit of power, that he and Rickon had the same dream about their father. And so, and then he sees someone he looks up to, Maester Lewin, come in and say, I failed a little bit. So you start to really shift over to, I believe more and more in powers and magic and all that stuff. So yeah.
Some other comments here. I just want to find the I'm just trying to find the right here. He heard it again, clink and scrape. It brought him to his feet. His ears pricked and his tail rose. This is when he's in the dream. He howled a long, deep, shivering cry, a howl to wake the sleepers, but the piles of man rock were dark and dead, which seems kind of similar in a way to the Night's Watch oath. I am the fire that burns against the cold, the light that brings the dawn, the horn that wakes the sleepers. And then you have a howl that wakes the sleepers. But the piles of man rock were dark and dead, the shield that guards the realms of men, and the pile of rocks kind of, this person saying, reminds me of the wall. And so that's just kind of interesting. And then keep in mind, you have this rocks that were dark and dead, and we know at some point somebody is supposed to raise dragons from stone, and it's just like rocks dead, you know what I mean? So all of this stuff, so that's kind of just some interesting comparison.
How dark is the stone? How oily is it up at the wall? Come on now, seriously. Look out.
Yeah, so that's just some other kind of interesting comments when you look at this.
Yeah. No, I like that. It's a really good kind of parallel there. Is that all that stuff surrounding the dire wolf. I was actually reading again, and I'm trying to make connections here to further on in the series. So at one point, Ghost is we talk about keeping your dire wolves close. We always talk about what Catelyn realizing that it's important to keep them close, to trust them, to look to them. They can be kind of like a really good guide for even us as readers to say, maybe we should trust that person, or maybe we should, whatever. Ghost likes Melisandre, goes right up and nuzzles his little, nose in there and just enjoys himself some Melisandre. Is that a trap? Sorry, I just want to throw that out there real quickly as I'm thinking about direwolves. The other big thing, I said it already. I mean, pour one out for Micken, because he gets reflected on quite a bit. Actually, again, even in the stuff I was reading in Dance, John is reflecting on Arya and reflecting on Micken's sword and his work that he did. He makes needle, right? And because John's all worried that if that really is Arya, she'll end up, stabbing kind of Ramsay. But Micken, man, just his mark, his work, really good to have somebody just tell Theon off for all these terrible things that are going on, and sucks that he's killed. But I think it kind of brings a seriousness to the hall there when he does kill Micken, and no one else is going to kind of oppose him, and what can they do? They can't do anything. They're beaten. No shame in it, as Maester Lewin says. And so Bran yields up Winterfell, and and that's just the beginning. I mean, I was reading in A Storm of Swords the other day, and it's like a lot of the rumors and what happens. What this does is felt by the Starks and other characters in the South for a long time. They still don't know, because we're going to get into some chapters where Bran and Rickon, the Miller's boys, all that kind of stuff goes down with Theon and Reek, and it's something that other characters reflect on for a long time. Just like the events at King's Landing, Eddard Stark being beheaded, and then, is Arya alive? Did she die? Jon thinks she's dead. When the marriage proposal comes around, she's dead. What's going on? So this is one of those chapters where this starts off major rumors, and well, now who has control? And it just kind of, can you trust the Ravens coming in and out of there? Stability. It's their instability has started in a massive way, and so yeah, we're gonna feel it throughout the rest of the book, rest of the series. So yeah.
I'm just trying to make something here, because I saw a comment, and I'm just trying to make sure that this is in fact correct.
Uh-oh. We got Sir Matt in a literal.
Hold on, isn't Reek actually Ramsay?
Yeah,
that's right.
Right now,
yes.
Right now,
yes.
Right
he's
now,
he's pretending to be this character Reek, so it is Ramsay. Yes.
Yeah,
just making sure. Yeah.
Because prior to that, I mean, he's he's out, and he disguises himself, and they take the actual Reek and thinking it's
right.
Ramsay. Yeah, the whole thing is kind of a switcheroo. He smells terrible, knows how to kind of play up that character, because it's rumored that he had a manservant or whatever named Reek. People knew that about him, so yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So just pay attention to that, and then also it's interesting that Ramsay is in this chapter, and then next chapter is an Arya chapter where Roose Bolton shows up to Harrenhal.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It's like these subtle little, like, and you go back to Game of Thrones, right? And we're only in the second book here, but I mean, you go back to the first book, and it's mentioned all along the way how big of a deal, like to pay attention to the Boltons, to pay attention to House Bolton, to pay attention to Roose. And we just, sometimes it's not as abrupt or in her face. It's way more subtle. And it takes characters like Lady Dustin and others to kind of let us know these are characters, big players to kind of watch. And so, yeah, I think they're fascinating house. I don't like them. They're hurting my Starks, and they're causing chaos in the North. So I don't care for any of that, but I'd love it if there was actually something more, magical to what Roose is up to, or just keep it kind of secret and ambiguous or whatever, and let us kind of, keep guessing about it. But
yeah, and it will be interesting next week when I guess because we're kind of done with this chapter. You know, because at this point, remember, if you're reading this series for the first time, like where we're at next week, if you're reading for the first time, well, Roose Bolton's still a good guy at this point.
that's
He's
right.
still Rob's bannerman. And so why, if you're when you get to this, because this is really, especially for all of you guys who are just show watchers, this is like the first big major, I would say major difference between the show and the book. Like if you're watching the show, you're like, this doesn't happen at all.
Right.
I mean, whatsoever. Because I mean, up until this point, if you're just watching the show, there's characters here and there. That's slightly different. But this is like first big major. Hold on a second. Like
and it's
this
kind of
does not. This does not happen at all in the show.
Right. And some of those rumors, and you kind of when you think at like what Roose is going to have to deal with later on, some of that is almost like I might have to denounce my bastard. Like, you know what I mean? Right now, he's loyal. Did he tell him to do that? Did he say, look for an opportunity? You know, I mean, all that kind of stuff comes into question. Like, does it work out? Was he trying to? So we'll kind of cover and talk about all of that as we navigate through it, because was it almost a tell? Was it, you know, because George doesn't write something that's really perfect and perfect symmetry and all these different things. I mean, it's meant to kind of, you know, mirror, like, feel real, but also have elements of magic and dragons and magical swords.
And then a huge what if you guys want to go next week, and when we're going to be talking about this chapter, so this would be a perfect Raven to send in on people's thoughts. What if Arya did tell Roose Bolton at this point, before he really goes through and betrays everybody? Although right now, is he kind of already in the works of it, right?
Yeah.
I don't think, does Arya know that? Not really. If she's like, oh, I'm Arya Stark, essentially you actually serve me, because you're House Stark's bannerman.
Right.
What does he do? I mean, now he's got a huge piece. There's a lot of things he could do.
A lot. Yeah. And he already makes out like a bandit. I mean, he already, you know, we know, what he's, you know, would that have changed something though? Like, would he not have? Would he made different, you know? Yeah. Like what his decisions to, I don't know. Because again, it's all about the timing too. And Rob is the mistakes that Rob makes kind of also line up with, like, help kind of with the decision making that, you know, look, I'm waiting. Roose seems to be a guy who can wait, look, see opportunity, and even create avenues for himself. But like when one presents itself and he sees an advantage, he's going to take it. He's going to hunt wolves. I mean, that's what he tells Qyburn. He's going to leech me and let me hunt them. So
yeah, absolutely. All right, guys. Well, I think that is it for us today. Or do you have a Raven we're going to jump into today? Or I think we're
just gonna leave it there. We did a lot of talk on the pink letter and wanted to kind of throw that out at you guys at the beginning. We do have some Ravens that we're going to come back to next week, and we'll continue with the reread. And we might, from time to time, we're thinking about going live on Sundays, just whether it's even a standalone, video or something. So we'd love for you guys to come over and help us out on YouTube and subscribe. It would be a huge help to Matt and I and to the channel. Just would be great. We got that goal of trying to hit 1,000, trying to get over it. Get over the hump and have a good time. So, and we want that, we're trying to get used to this as well too, because as we get closer to any prequel shows and, after show kind of live streams, things like that we'd love to keep engaging with. And we'll kind of, as we end this show here on the podcast, we'll kind of hang around for a little bit longer on YouTube and stay live with some of our bannermen and folks who are over here in the live chat with us. But so one of the perks to kind of coming over and subscribing there. So yeah, I think that's probably it.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, hey, we want to thank you for playing the Game of Thrones. In our next episode, we will be discussing chapter 47, Arya 9 of A Clash of Kings.
If you like our podcast, don't forget to subscribe, like us, write a review, leave a comment, or send us that Raven at btkcast@gmail.com.
We will see you in a week. And remember that winter is coming. Boom. Clicked end there. I think we are still live, hanging out. So for everyone who is here still alive, Lady Adrian, was Arya still in Roos's household when he went when the pink letter was written? I forgot. I don't think so. I think fake Arya isn't there.
Fake Arya. Yeah. Whew.
Is
Are we still
Sir
live?
Jimmy in the chat here? Because people keep saying stuff and I don't see him. Is there something I'm
He's in
doing
there.
wrong or something?
He's in there. Refresh it.
Why don't I see him? I see everybody but him. That's weird. Doesn't like it. It's like he's hidden.
Oh, is he
Maybe I
hiding from
blocked
you?
him. Maybe I blocked him on accident.
What?
I don't know. I can't see him.
Wow.
That's so weird.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
Huh. That's so bizarre.
Interesting. That was good though. That was good, you know?
Yeah. How do I not see him? I don't know. That's weird.
Oh gosh. So how are you guys? What's going on? What's everybody doing this Sunday? Are we pumped? Super Bowl's next week. Any follow-up thoughts there to the old pink letter? Gosh, I wish I would have. And I think when we do like a smaller YouTube video, we'll kind of just I'll write a few things down and yeah. Is on no one. I'm lifting and watching, he says.
All right. I don't know why it's not showing it. It's so bizarre.
Did you try it on your phone?
No, I'm about to.
Yeah. What if I accidentally forgot to click end live stream and we just stayed on here for like all day? It's just like
right here, boom, live. Let's go. 9 people watching.
Whoa,
see, I see everybody but him. Like, did I block him or something? I mean, what the heck is going on?
Matt hates me, he says.
I know, I don't, man.
Theon, do we think he makes it to the end of the books? Yes. Sort of. I think he makes it right there to Winterfell. He has an epic showdown with a White Walker or one of the others,
I mean, I'm still subscribed to his channel, right?
Did you hide my channel? He's like, what, bro?
I don't know, man. This is bizarre.
Well, hopefully you guys had some fun, and hopefully, and thanks for coming and chatting with us. I mean, honestly, it's a lot of fun when you guys get in the chat and we can just kind of, hang out and do whatever. You get to kind of see a little behind the scenes here. Get to see us work through
technical
stuff.
Issues
It's pretty cool. Pull stuff up. And that was a one taker right there.
His channel's right here. I don't understand. I don't know what's going on.
I don't either. Well, it's no fun if you can't see him. So, shout out to everybody else in there. Adrian, Shannon.
Don't know.
Who else we got in here? Muhammad. What do we got here? Raj. Yeah. Shout out to everybody. Cool. Good stuff. All right, guys, we're going to end this for now. But we guys are great. And we'll be back. Post this. We'll kind of fine tune all of it, get it up for the probably tomorrow. I'm hoping to have a snow day. Is that bad to say that?
No.
I don't want anybody don't jinx me, guys. Midwest is in a snowstorm here, so I'm hopeful.
There's nothing wrong with saying that.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. I'm gonna do some more editing. I'll do some more research on all this stuff. I'll pull out some. I love when I have a morning like I had today, where I was just like I was up super early because I've been kind of like just on a different sleep schedule, a better one, I think. And I got up early, got my coffee, shoveled my way out of my apartment and pulled out a dance and started reading actual John chapters and just like thinking through that whole thing. Was great. And then you complement it with a Reddit theory. It's awesome. It's great. Good. It's a good Sunday morning, folks. So
good.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, we're going to stop the live stream here.